Today on Dr. Phill.
I did not set the house on fire to kill my children.
A drug-addicted mom.
Since when is it abuse if you spank your child?
If you were leaving marks on him, that would be when.
Her kids taken away.
You say, we were so hungry, Barbara would force us to eat dog food.
All the dog food's on the floor. What kids don't try out the dog food?
This was my son.
Your son? Did you give birth to him?
A dog can give birth.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've hurt long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phill.
Roll 70. Take
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
5, 4.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. She's accused of beating her kids, making them eat dog food, sleep on the floor, flirt with men for drugs, shoot the family dog, and the worst accusation of all, that she set the house on fire to kill herself and her 2 youngest children. Now, we're talking about Barbara here, and she admits she was a drug addict, but she says she was a good mom with a happy family and did not deserve to lose her kids. Well, she's here to do 2 things. 1, she wants to clear her name, and 2, she wants to reunite with her children, one of whom she hasn't seen in nearly 15 years. Take a look.
When the kids were young, I got hooked on drugs.
I'd go into her room sometimes and go through her drawers and find pipes, oil, drugs. My mom was getting high, and if she was not getting high, she was sleeping.
The kids had a good childhood. We had good times.
It was scary, it was uncomfortable. She had random people in and out of the home.
It was a nice home. I was just a meth addict.
I think Barbara is delusional. Barbara's son, Bobby Lynn, is my nephew. The home was horrendous. I was horrified that my nephew was living like this.
Even though I had a bad drug problem, their needs were still met.
She didn't mother these children. Lindsay was 10 years old, and she was Bobby Lynn's acting mother. She would steal milk from the local little gas station.
My mom definitely abandoned me and my little sister and Bobby Lynn.
I feel like I was a good mom. I feel like there was some neglect there because of my drug use.
Barbara's idea is that she was a great mother and that she took wonderful care of her children. Then she's living in a fantasy land, and these were drug-induced hallucinations.
It got to the point where I did not want to be at the home.
When Lindsay was in middle school, she started getting really defiant.
I went to school and told a few people that my mom was using drugs in our home.
She came home and she was beat and she was threatened.
If I keep snitching on people, I would get a knife to my throat or a gun to my head.
Lindsay had it in her mind that she wanted to go to foster care. So I finally was fed up with it, and I placed her there voluntarily.
Lindsay was not put into foster care. She put herself into foster care. That child wanted away.
When I was 11 years old, I left the house and went into foster care. I never went back to live with Barbara. Even though foster care was horrible, it was still better than living at home.
Well, after Lindsay went into foster care at age 11, things got, well, they just got much worse for Barbara. So bad, in fact, that Lindsay wrote a letter to the court that led to Bobby Lynn being removed from Barbara's care and Barbara being stripped completely of all parental rights. Now, understand what I just said. She didn't just say, you need to go stay over here for a while. She was stripped of her parental rights. Big deal. Take a look.
Barbara's drug use spiraled so out of control.
I sent my younger daughter to live with her father because the drug use was so bad. My son, Bobby Lynn, went to live with his aunt.
I had a moral obligation. As a human being, you can't just turn your back. I had to do something. When we were in the process of adopting Bobby Lynn, I asked Lindsay if she would be willing to write a letter to the judge.
I felt like Barbara was an unfit mother. I wanted to testify in court and for Barbara to lose her parental rights with my brother.
She claimed that we were in our room doing drugs, and I can't deny that, but we weren't in there for days at a time. We'd go in there for a couple hours maybe. She claims that I forced them to eat dog food. My son was a toddler. What little toddlers don't get into the dog food bowl on the kitchen floor. We thought it was funny. We would laugh at him. And then he'd do it again because we laughed. Because of the letter, the court terminated my rights as a mother. I was devastated. It tore a part of my heart out.
When Bobby Lynn came to live with us, he chose to change his name to Dylan.
My son's name is Bobby Lynn.
He didn't want anything to remind him of his previous life.
In my mind, when I think of my son, I call him Bobby Lynn. The last time I saw my son, Bobby Lynn, was when he was 5 years old. These are pictures from that visit. It's been 15 years since I've seen my son, Bobby Lynn. I know for a fact my children do not understand or know the full story. I want to clear my name and start over with my children.
Well, Barbara says she tried to stay in touch with her son, but Patrice shut her out of Dylan's life.
When Dylan came to live with us, he was a very troubled child. His entire existence revolved around violence.
She kept my son from me. I would call to talk to my son, and she would say he didn't want to talk to me.
Dylan was terrified of Barbara. He called her a monster.
I feel like since it was my son, I should have been able to have contact with him this whole time.
After the adoption was completed, Dylan was our legally adopted son. Dylan had lived through hell. Why would I want to open the gates to hell and shove my child into it? The truth is, with Barbara, is she was a drug addict. She was a poor mother, and the courts stripped her of her parental rights, not just from one child, but of 2 children.
My little sister and I would send him cards and letters for every holiday, for every birthday. Never did Patty give him our messages or allow us to talk to our brother. That made me feel extremely hurt and angry. I went to court for Barbara to lose her parental rights and for my little brother to be able to stay with Patty. And then Patty turned around and never let us talk to him.
We would receive letters, and I would say, hey, Dylan, you know, the letters come in instant. I don't want to hear it. I don't want nothing to do with it.
I absolutely have been shut out of Bobby Lynn's life because of his Aunt Patty.
I have not prevented Lindsay from contacting her own brother. Since he was 18 years old, it's been his choice, whether he pursues it or not.
Patrice needs to know Bobby Lynn is my son, and she needs to understand that. She can't keep him from me any longer.
Well, this is the first time Barbara and Lindsay have come face to face with Patrice in nearly 15 years. So you guys have not seen each other. You've not been together.
Nope. No.
But you have been raising her son. She calls Bobby Lynn, you and he say Dylan.
Yes.
All right. Did you blow this family up?
Absolutely not. Not at all. The courts took Barbara's rights away from her parental rights away from Bobby.
Right.
Not us.
And what do you say about that, Barbara?
I said that's not true.
What's not true?
I did everything to get my son back. You turned him against me. It's easy to convince a 5-year-old.
She turned him against you. How do you know this? How do you know that she did
Because
that?
we had a good relationship when he was placed in her home. I'm the one who sent him to your home.
You did not send him
I
to you.
sent him to your home.
No,
He
you
went
did
to your
not.
father's home, and I called and I said, get him out of there now. Take him to Patty. I gave them your phone number, even. I said, take him to Patty. He'll be safe there.
No, you did not.
Yes.
Wait a minute here.
Absolutely.
Listen, I'm one of those people that believes that you can't change what you don't acknowledge. You got to get it out on the table. Everything, the truth has got to come out here. Are you here to deal with the truth today?
I'm here to tell
And how
the truth.
about you?
Yes.
And you're upset with her as well.
Yes.
You're upset with your mother,
Yes.
and you're upset with her.
Yes.
How you doing with me? I'm okay so far?
So far.
All right. And you say she walled you off from your brother.
Yes.
And you say she was a horrible mother.
Yes.
Okay, now you're saying that she brainwashed this 5-year-old kid against you. You were a good mother. What do you mean you were a good mother? You were a drug addict.
I made mistakes.
Well,
definitely.
Let's not play semantics. You were
My
either...
son was not taken from me. I called and had the house raided. I had the house raided. You guys
You
knew
were
that.
turned
You
in
even
for child abuse.
No.
You were turned in for child abuse for
I
beating
was-
Bobby Lynn
I was
with a
arrested
metal rod.
spanking my son with a switch.
A metal
I slapped
rod.
him on the butt
A
with a
metal
switch
rod.
one time. Were you there?
was bruised.
Show me this metal rod.
I don't
He
have
was
to
not
show you the metal
bruised.
rod
Well,
because
you don't have to-
court records.
Oh, wait a minute, wait a
Get,
minute.
Show
get the
us.
facts. Show me some proof.
I don't
okay.
have all of the proof.
Stop
Show
talking.
it to me. Show it to me.
Stop talking.
Prove it.
Let's just look at what the court said. You said, let's look at some proof. Let's see what the court said. The court said, and I quote, by clear and convincing evidence, it is detrimental to place the child with the parents, Barbara and Colin, and necessary to remove physical custody from the parents. There is substantial danger to the physical health of the child. Now, that's what the court said. That's not what she said. That's not what she said. That's what the court said. They said this, and let me tell you, I've worked in the court system
This is after
my
he's
entire
been removed
life.
from the home.
So I understand they're saying that there is physical danger to this child if he is with you and Colin.
because Colin was cooking drugs. Yeah, there's a lot of physical danger. Why do you think I had him removed out of the house? Why do you think I called and had Colin arrested?
You were turned in
Had
for child abuse.
I had the house raided.
You were reported for
I was
child
arrested.
abuse, correct?
No, I was arrested for.
Were you reported for child abuse? Do you not even
I
know?
was reported by her, which was false, for trying to wash her mouth out with soap. And then I spanked my son, and I got arrested for it because I admitted to spanking him.
What was going on, Lindsay?
was
You were
four
there.
at the time.
I'm talking here.
After I had talked to people about what was going on in the home, and then when I got home, then they made me pick up cigarette butts out in the yard while it was raining in my panties. It was raining and freezing cold outside, and that was part of my punishment. And then we got into some sort of verbal altercation, and then when I was inside, she was trying to
You don't
force.
remember what you said?
At which point in time?
The verbal altercation?
At the
Calling me-
house?
why I wanted to wash your mouth out with soap. Calling me an bitch and a whore. Said you probably sell yourself for money. You probably sell sex for money.
Did you?
No, never.
How do you know?
How do I know?
Yes, because you've said I was high, I was bad into drugs. Who knows? You said
I know.
I got letters
I know
from
what
you.
I did and what I didn't
and
do.
I hear you saying I really don't know
Why do you
what
think
happened.
I carried around so much guilt and shame? Because I know exactly what I did.
Oh, well, then
while I was on drugs.
Then you weren't
Absolutely.
very straightforward with me in this letter.
This
You
was
had done
my
enough.
son that you screwed up.
Your son?
Yes, my
Did you-
son.
He's not your son.
He is my son.
Did you give birth to him?
A dog can give birth.
Well, let's talk about what Lindsay says happened versus what you say happened. Lindsay says our house was very cold. You say, well, we had wood heat, and some of the rooms in the back of the house might have been a little cold.
Where was your bedroom?
Is that what you're talking about?
In the front of the house or in the back of the house?
In the front or the middle?
In the front, by the wood stove? Yeah.
In the middle of the house?
Okay. Did you have a door or just an open wall?
No, an open wall.
Lindsay says, we often did not have food. I had to get Bobby, or Dylan, as Patrice refers to him, and he refers to himself, milk any way I could and get myself food. Okay, you say, well, the cupboards might have been lean at the end of the month before we got food stamps for the next month, but there was always food. So, Lindsay, what do you mean? You said we often did not have food, and I had to get Bobby milk any way I could.
I remember with my little brother and sister going down to the bus station or walking down there, and my old bus driver used to give us a ride, and where the bus route was, they would go down to the resort and they would turn around to go back up into town to the school. And she would drop us off at the resort, and we would go in there, steal milk or steal food, and we would eat that. And I remember going across the street to an elderly woman's home and raking her yard a couple times, and my sister and I, and they would feed us like that. I also remember another family up the street that would bring us meals down and things like that. I do remember around the first of the month there would be quite a bit of food, but it went slim like really quickly, and sometimes you would even trade or sell the food stamps for the drugs. So, I mean, it was hard to say if we were going to have food or not.
So you would steal milk for your little brother.
Yeah.
You'd rake leaves, you would do whatever you could to get some money to get some food.
Yeah.
And what do you say about that?
So you were stealing stuff when you were little?
Yeah.
Well, that's just great. Are you proud of that?
Am I proud of it? I mean, you gotta live some way, right?
Seriously, Barbara?
And what were you doing away from the bus stop? You were supposed to wait for that bus stop for me to pick
The
you up.
issue is the children had no
This doesn't
food.
have. Stay out of
Stay
it,
with
Patty.
me.
You've done enough already.
This
you
was
have done
my
enough.
son that you screwed up.
Your son?
Yes, my
Did you-
son.
He's not your son.
He is my son.
Did you give birth to him?
A dog can give birth.
You know what, Patty? You've turned my son against me long enough.
I have not turned him against
me
you.
ask
You
you
turned
something.
him
Let-
against
You can
yourself.
convince a 5-year-old of anything.
He's 20.
Yeah? Well, you convinced him when
20
he was
years old
5 and you brainwashed
He's a
him for
20-year-old
15
man
years.
who knows exactly what he wants in
Let
his
me
life.
ask you
and you're not
something.
it.
Yeah.
Let me
good.
ask you something. Out of everything she just said, that we were hungry and I had to steal food or beg it from the neighbors,
We had some good neighbors. They loved my kids.
is all...
They loved my kids. They
hey,
took them in.
No,
They-
listen, let me
this
finish.
old lady across the
Let
street,
me finish.
she'd make them do
Let
chores.
Let me finish.
And give them $1.
Let me tell you, you can't talk me down and you can't filibuster, because I'll stay here till the cows come home, lady.
Good. I'm here. I'm here for however long it takes.
So answer my question. Out of her explaining, I had to steal milk for my little brother, beg food from the neighbors, what you hear is you were stealing? That was your response to that.
Well, it's,
Respond to
I
the
don't
fact
believe
that
it.
you as a
It's
mother
I
were
believe
failing
it's a
to
lie.
feed your children.
No, that is absolutely a lie.
Okay? All right.
Absolutely a lie.
Lindsay said that she made me put on sexy clothes and flirt with men for drugs. You say that's a straight up lie.
Straight up lie.
All right, Lindsay,
Never.
what happened?
I don't remember exact details, but I do remember wearing her clothes and going to weird homes where there were a lot of weird things going on and men saying weird things to me and
Like what?
gawking over me and just sexually things or how attractive I am and
And how old were you?
things like, I don't know, like maybe 8 or 9.
Did you put these clothes on and go over there because you wanted to or because she told you to?
Were you with Bruce?
Maybe a little bit of both. No, it was with you.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm positive. I know exactly where I went with Bruce, and
All right, well, let's move on. We'll come back to this. You say in your letter, you say, we were so hungry, Barbara would force us to eat dog food. You say, well, look, Dylan ate some dog food a few times. We thought it was funny.
Yeah, well, the bowl of dog food's on the kitchen floor. I mean, what kids don't always try out the dog food?
Mine? I raised 3 other children and they never ate dog food, believe me.
Really?
Robin and
Yeah,
I raised
really?
Robin and I raised 2 boys, and they never had any Alpo.
Dry kibble on the floor? Your toddlers never got into it?
No, they never ate kibbles and bits.
Well, I don't know how you kept your toddlers out of it.
Well,
Picked it up.
we
Well, see, there you go.
we kept an eye on them.
Yeah.
Dylan wasn't potty trained. He slept on the floor, according to Lindsay. If he wet himself,
dog food that
Barbara
bad?
would just give
I mean, is that
him a
gonna
towel.
kill him? Is that?
We didn't have
Tell me.
beds.
Is that so bad?
Yes, it
that
is.
That they put
Yes.
some kibble in their mouth?
Yeah, that
really?
would not be good.
It's not like they ate it for a meal. I mean, my God. Seriously.
Dylan wasn't potty trained, according to Lindsay. He slept on the floor. If he wet himself, Barbara would just give him a towel. We didn't even have beds. Barbara says, look, Dylan was always naked because it was hot. He peed on the floor, but I never made
No,
him
he
sleep
never
in
peed on
it.
the
They
floor.
had their own beds.
He never peed on the floor. He would go pee outside. He would go pee outside, not on the floor, not in the house.
Out of the bushes comes this naked child. I was shocked at the condition of this child.
Good Lord, God forbid a little boy should get some dirt on him.
Barbara was not caring for her children. The house, if you want to call it such, I was horrified. It was something you would see in a third world country.
Raising my 3 children at home was like we were normal people.
One of the most disturbing stories Lindsay told me was that her mother was very close to using her as a prostitute. She told me that she would have Lindsay dress up real pretty.
I have memories of wearing Barbara's clothes and going to weird houses and weird men saying things to me, looking at me weird.
I would have never done this. She's claiming that I forced her to wear my sexy clothes. I didn't have any sexy clothes, and I never forced her to wear my clothes.
Patrice, you went over to this house.
Yes.
Knock, went inside. What
Different
was it like in there? What'd you see?
When Dylan was
Different
about
house.
2 years old, my husband and I found the area where they were living, and I wanted to see my nephew and my brother. So we drove to the house, and I was appalled. It was something reminiscent of something you might find in a slum in Tijuana or something. It
What
was
house are you talking about?
corrugated metal roofing. There were holes in the walls. The furnishing was dilapidated.
And how did Dylan look?
Well, when we first got there, he was nowhere to be found. Barbara came out and welcomed us, and I said, "Hey, is my brother here?" And she said, "No, he's not here right now. He's been gone." And I said, "Okay, where's the baby? Where's the baby?" And she goes, "Oh, I don't know. He's out there playing somewhere." And I went, "Out here, outside? We're in the middle of the desert next to a huge recreational lake. And now we're talking about a 2-year-old is running around and she doesn't know where he's at." And I was shocked because my own biological son is only 10 days older than Bobby Lynn. And I would never not know where my 2-year-old is. So I was like, "Well, where is he?" "Oh, he's out there playing." So she calls out, "Bobby Lynn, Bobby Lynn." And I'm looking around for this baby, and down the dirt road, out of the bushes, comes this naked child running up the road, boogery nose, filthy, butt naked, messy hair, and he comes running up, and I was shocked at the condition of this child, let alone that he's out next to a lake where he could drown. I mean, I was just...
What do you mean
shocked.
he was naked? Running down the road naked?
He was naked and dirty, barefoot.
Good Lord, God forbid a little boy should get some dirt on him.
This was September in Arizona.
Hottest spot in the nation, Arizona. September. Had to have been 70 degrees. Ugh. Such a fright, huh? Your boys never had booger noses?
I
know you live in the city, but I don't live in the city.
live in the suburbs,
So,
and
yeah,
my
it's a
child
lot
always
different in
had
the country.
Well, how far out do
something
you
on his
have to
feet and
move
clothes on his
where
body.
a little dog food, a little dirt, naked in the lake, and 2-year-old? I mean, does that seem like proper parenting to you?
I don't see that it's bad parenting because kids can run around and be kids. What, do they have to conform to your city
We
society
did live in
level?
the Stone Age.
Did he sleep on the floor?
No, he didn't sleep on the floor. Not unless he
That's
wanted
awful
to.
funny
He
because
usually slept in bed with Colin
I find
and
that awful funny because the first night that we brought Bobby Lynn home, we're having dinner at the table, and all of a sudden, out of
I
the
don't
blue,
care what he
the
did
child
when you
crawls
brought him
under
home.
the
I
table,
do.
takes his jacket off, and starts making a little bed like a little doggy would, you know, making a little fluffy bed. And my husband and I looked under the table and we said, "Sweetie, what are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm going to go to bed now." And we said, "You don't sleep on the floor." And he's like, "I don't." "Well, where do I sleep?"
Oh, baloney. I
And
don't
we
believe
went,
it.
"You have a room. Let me take you to the room." And so I take him out from underneath the table and I carry him upstairs. My son comes up behind him. We get up to the room, and in the room is a typical little boy's room. We had bunk beds set up, toys all over the place, you know, all the little bricks and all the little cars, everything. And he walked in the room, and that child's eyes turned into huge saucers. He was in heaven for a child. And he goes, "I have a bed, And we went, yeah, this is your bed. Oh, I've never had a bed. You know, what am I to think? I had no idea the circumstances of why he was in my home. I had just picked him up. He had just been taken out of
Patty, the reason he was in your home is
there
because I called and told them to take him to you. I gave him your phone number. That's the reason he was in your home.
I didn't get called by the state.
Yeah, I told the state your phone number.
They did not call me.
Why would you do that?
I told them to take him to you.
If you're a good mom taking care of your kids, why would you do that?
Because I had to get him out of there.
Because your boyfriend was cooking
Yeah.
meth?
Yeah. Since when is it abuse if you spank your child?
Well, if you're a zoned out drug addict and you're leaving marks on him, that would be when. Lindsay says that you, Barbara, left Dylan and Lindsay for months when he was an infant. And you say, hey, I only left 3 or 4 days at a time, and Colin was there.
Colin or Bruce would be there.
So you were left there alone, and you say she would just disappear for months?
Yeah,
Did you say 6 months?
I think even one time she was in Oregon.
You say Barbara brought drugs in front of you, and you say, oh, come on, I left her in the car when I went to get drugs, right?
No, I didn't take Lindsay with me when I went to get drugs, but we had a trailer park, a friend that owned a trailer park, and they were our best friends. The kids grew up together.
You told us that you took her and left her in the car, so she didn't see the transaction because you left her in the car. That's what you told us. I have it verbatim in your pre-interview.
Or she would be at my friend's house that owned the trailer park.
Running around the trailer park.
You said Barbara would hit us in a non-disciplining way, leaving welts and bruises. And you said, I never abused my kids. They were happy. And you said, actually, it doesn't take much to give a kid a whelp. So no big deal if you raise a whelp upon them, right?
Since when is it abuse if you spank your child? And it was the one and only time.
Well, if you're a zoned out drug addict and you're leaving marks on him, that would be when.
So, it is abuse. If you're a drug addict, then it's abuse. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you.
You're saying that if you're a drug addict and you spank your child, then it's abuse. But for anybody else, if they spank their child, it's not. Is that what you're saying?
Nice theory, but that's not what I
saying?
said. But since you bring it up,
I got treated that way when I was on drugs too, and I understand drug addicts get brushed away, just like you tried to brush me away. You thought I was going away.
Since you bring it up,
I wasn't able to stand up for myself back then, Patty.
Since you bring it up,
but that's over.
Since you bring it up, since you bring it up, yes, there would be a different standard for a parent that was in possession of their faculties and had good judgment, generally speaking, as opposed to what would be permitted by someone who had impaired judgment, an altered state of consciousness, and therefore a potential for making bad judgments in disciplining a child. Yes, there would be a double standard there. Does that make sense? Come on, be honest.
You know, I'm not here to defend my past.
Well,
I didn't come up here to lie to you, to try to say, oh, it was all okay. That's not why I'm here.
Yeah, well,
you know?
You want to pick your battles, and trying to outsmart me is probably not one of them.
Well,
because right now, what we're trying to do is get somewhere constructive.
Okay.
I'm just saying, do what you want. After the break, we're going to find out why Barbara has been accused of setting the house on fire over a decade ago.
Barbara was so strung out on drugs that she lit the home on fire using dry flowers.
Lindsay's been spreading crazy rumors about fires.
I believe Barbara tried to set this house on fire and kill these children. I would not put it past her at all.
When I was in foster care, I was told that Barbara was so strung out on drugs that she lit the home on fire using dry flowers with my little brother and sister and herself in there and was gonna kill all of them.
Lindsay's been spreading crazy rumors about fires. We did have a fire in the house. One night, a friend came over. He must have dropped the hot ash off of his cigarette, and it caught a sleeping bag on fire.
I believe Barbara tried to set this house on fire and kill these children. I would not put it past her at all.
I did not try to set the house on fire to kill my children. I would never harm my kids.
To this day, I firmly believe that she set the home on fire with my brother and sister in it.
You believe there was a fire set, she tried to kill herself and your brother and sister.
Who told you this?
Yes,
Who's
Bruce.
And you
Did
leave your kid, you bring your kids over and leave them in my care, and you believe that I tried to
Yes,
kill
I
your
do
brother
believe,
and sister.
and yes, you have been clean for a certain amount of time now.
Then you leave.
And yeah, yeah, you're not on drugs anymore. You're not
How
out of your
could you
mind.
have
You've been
anything to
clean
do with
for-
anybody who did that?
I don't know, really.
Why would you even
I really don't know.
associate?
I
Well,
mean,
guess what?
we don't have a good relationship
right.
for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly
The
why.
truth's gonna come out.
Okay, I hope it does. This is not something I made up. I was a
It's
kid in a
not?
foster home. No, why would I make it up? I went
That's
through
what I'd like to
enough
know.
traumatizing stuff in my
That's what
life.
I'd like to
I don't
know.
need to make anything up. My brother, my
You've
sister,
made it all
and
up,
I,
Lindsay.
You-
You've made it all up. The only truth that you have to it is
Okay.
the towel rack was when I was trying to wash your mouth. That was soap. That's the only truth to it. There
I
was
had
kibble on the
bruises.
floor,
There's
and Bobby Lynn
pictures.
puts them in his mouth. You say
don't
I
have
forced
to
you to eat dog food.
verbally
you know,
argue with you. There's
I left for a couple of
pictures.
days.
There's
Not
pictures.
wasn't okay.
There's
you say I
court
left for
papers.
6 months. Show me some proof.
The
Let's
proof
take-
is you don't have any of us in your life, and you want to know why.
Let's
So own
take
it.
a
Take
po-
responsibility
Let's
and own
take
it.
a polygraph test. It's
I don't
time
need
for
to.
you to wake up. It's time for you to grow up, Lindsay.
I
Lindsay?
have my kids, don't I?
Lindsay?
No, well, you better
I
be
do.
careful about
Lindsay?
that. You better be careful about that, Lindsay.
Let me ask you a question.
You really should watch out.
How did you wind up in foster care?
I had gone to school one day. I hadn't been to school in quite a long time, and I told some people at school what was going on in the home. And CPS came and talked to me. The principal everyone got involved, and it was then under investigation. And she had agreed to let me go to my best friend's house for the weekend while they investigated and checked things out. After she agreed about that, once everybody was gone, her and Colin came and picked me up. That's when I went out to the home. The big fight broke out. They made me clean up cigarette butts. Colin told me that if I ever got caught snitching, I would get a knife to my throat or a gun to my head. And mind you, I was 9 years old, maybe even 10 at this point. And then they disciplined me by in my underwear out in the cold weather, making me, clean up the cigarette butts in the yard. And then she says whatever it was that I said to her. I could have said that to her. I was extremely angry. I don't know exactly what I said, but I was mad, and I know that I was lashing out. And I know that she was trying to put powder soap down my throat because discipline, because I had talked to her the way I did, I guess. They were mad that I told people at school what was going on in the home.
Did you ask to go into foster care?
No, I ran out the door
Those
and went
were
and I
two
called
different incidences. You're putting two completely different
Does it
things
really
that happen
matter?
together. Yeah, it does.
It matters?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all one incident, and it
How was
happened
foster
in
care?
a series of a couple different
How was
homes.
foster care for you?
It was not great. It was horrible.
Compared to home, how was it for you?
Way better.
That was better.
Yeah. Yeah, it was better.
Then you got what you wanted.
Obviously, it was
because-
better.
Well, good. Then you got what
Yeah,
you
I
wanted.
got a chance at life. That's
Did
what
you?
I got. I did.
Then why are you blowing it now?
I guess I'm a little
Why
bit
are you
traumatized and
blowing-
messed up from
come
what you have put us
on.
through,
come
huh?
on.
You admit that you were a drug addict. You admit that you were a negligent parent. You are defensive and belligerent and illogical and trying to make sense out of nonsense. You ask a question between
Oh my gosh.
eye rolls, sarcasm,
Seems like-
and all, but you ask a question, and I try to jump in every once in a while and answer your questions. I think you ask them more as statements than questions, but I do like to answer them. You said, how long? I mean, at what point have you been matter of 1 month or 2 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years? It's a matter of whenever you have insight and understanding. Because despite the fact that if we just go on what you admit that you were a drug addict, you admit that you were a negligent parent, you admit that she was in a home where meth was being cooked and it was dangerous.
No, she was not.
You admit that there was a horrible situation and circumstance for all of this that went on, right? I mean, you said, I'm not here to defend what I did.
The home that Lindsay was in, there was weekend drug use. That's all there was. There was no meth cooking. The real drug use changed when I moved to California. Then it was an everyday thing. That was the two different homes.
Yeah, I got it. So it went from bad to worse.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, but it was never any good. It was just bad to worse.
No, there was good. There was a lot of good. It wasn't all bad.
Well, when you ask how long...
Just because, you know...
When you ask how long, the answer is whenever you show some insight and understanding instead of outright belligerence. And right now, you are defensive and belligerent and illogical and trying to make sense out of nonsense. And as long as you're doing that, you never get past square one. So let's clear up this house fire issue. You admit there were 2 fires in 2 different houses. One was an ash was dropped on a sleeping bag and the other was an electrical fire. Both accidental and neither one rising to the level of being anyone in danger.
2 different houses.
Right, 2 different houses, I said that. 2 different houses, both accidental, neither rising to the level that put anyone in danger.
Right, well,
okay.
Scared me.
And we've talked to the fire departments in both communities. There wasn't even a report on one of them.
Yeah.
And the other one, the sleeping bag caught fire, you threw it outside. I don't think it actually caught fire, it was smoldering. You threw it outside, and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So I haven't found any evidence of any reports that you set the house on fire as a suicide murder attempt. I find no evidence of that whatsoever. And believe me, we've talked to the fire departments, we've gone back through records as long as they keep them, we've done everything that we can, and I don't see any evidence that you ever tried to kill your children or yourself by setting the house on fire. So that maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but I don't find any evidence of it. All right, now Barbara and Lindsay both say they are desperate for a relationship with Dylan. We've talked a lot about Dylan. He's been referred to as Bobby or Bobby Lynn, but now goes by Dylan. He's now a 20-year-old young man. How has he turned out? He's been with Patrice, and what does he want? Does he want a relationship with them? Well, he's here today, and for the first time in nearly 15 years, he's going to come face to face with the woman who gave birth to him and the sister who tried to save him. Now, let me tell you, reunions aren't always peachy. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. We're going to find out how this young man feels and what he wants, because he's old enough to say. We'll be right back.
I always knew that this day would come. I always knew that someday I would get to meet him again. I'm very nervous I'm about to meet my son. It's been 15 years, and I feel scared. I'm curious what he looks like and what he likes to do, what he's interested in. I'm scared that he won't like me, that he'll hate me, that he won't understand anything I did. He won't think I did anything right. Maybe all he'll see is all the bad stuff I did. I'm afraid he might not forgive me.
This entire hour has been leading to this moment. It has been nearly 15 years since Barbara has laid eyes on her son. But we are now out of time. You don't want to miss tomorrow when this mom, who has admittedly made mistake after mistake, will get the opportunity to reunite with the boy who the courts say she put in substantial danger.
Today on Dr. Phill, she stole her sister's boyfriend.
You started sleeping with him.
I would say he was the one knocking on my door.
Well, you answered it.
Then she married him.
You have never admitted that you've done anything wrong.
That's not true.
Bottom line is, you don't care. Did you even shed a tear when I called you?
When is an apology supposed to come through when you're just doing this all the time?
How are you self-righteous in this thing? Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I'll try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. This is a tale of two sisters torn apart by one man. Now, Angel was dating Brian first until Amber seduced him all the way to the altar.
Her face makes me sick. It made me sick then. It makes me sick now. Brian and I were in love. I was hoping that we would spend the rest of our lives together. My sister and I were close. I spent a lot of time with her and would confide in her. Your family is supposed to be the one thing you can depend on in your time of need. You're supposed to be able to trust that they will be there for you no matter what. And while I was trusting her to be there for me, she was helping herself to my future. No one knew what they were doing until she got pregnant. Oh my gosh, it turns my stomach just even thinking about it now. No. That turned me into a monster. It pushed me over the edge and made me a really, really ugly, evil person. I laid in bed at night and I plotted people's deaths. I was this black hole of misery that just wanted to suck people in and make them just as miserable as I was. It has been 7 years, and she still hasn't apologized to me. Why would I want someone in my life that has no heart and has no soul and can hurt someone they love without even blinking an eye, without remorse?
While Amber admits she was wrong, she says Angel's wounds are old and she just needs to move on.
Brian and I were sleeping together for about a year before I got pregnant. I didn't want to tell Angel about the relationship between Brian and I. I didn't think of it as long term, but then I got pregnant. When Angel found out, she was very angry. She would threaten me. She would leave me hateful voicemails. If I see you, we're gonna fight.
She's yelling and screaming at me, talking about how much it's my fault. It was my fault, okay?
The last time I had a friendly conversation with Angel was before I got pregnant about 7 years ago.
Recently, I called her. I gave her an opportunity to apologize. One that she didn't take advantage of whatsoever, and proved to me once and for all how not sorry she was.
I've made several attempts to apologize to Angel through text message. I even sent her a care package with homemade brownies. I put mint chips. I know that's her favorite.
Okay, you are hugely upset about this.
Absolutely.
Because if I get this straight, your sister started sleeping with your boyfriend with whom you had already had 2 children.
Yes, sir. We'd been together for 7 years prior to the affair. And
Okay,
we were...
so you and Brian were together for 7 years?
Yes, sir.
And you had 2 children?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then you come in the back door and start sleeping with her significant other and father of her children.
I wouldn't say I came through the back door. I would say he was the one knocking on my door.
Well, hell, you answered it.
Yes, I did.
Front door, back door, down the chimney. It's still not your man. This is your sister's man, and you started sleeping with him.
Yes.
For a year.
Yes.
And you never felt bad about it.
I did feel bad. Yes,
Well, you
I
said
did.
it was not that big a deal. You said we didn't think it was that big a deal. You didn't expect it to go anywhere.
I didn't expect it to go anywhere, no. I didn't plan on, having a relationship with him or anything like that at the time.
What did you call having sex with him for a year? That was not a relationship. What was that?
I mean, not like, I never thought we were going to be married and having our own family and stuff
Well, of
like
course
that.
not, because she was already with him.
Well,
Yeah.
I was supposed to do that. How could you think about that?
I wasn't thinking about it.
You weren't thinking about me
I
or
wasn't.
anybody else when you did that. I think
No, I
you were
wasn't.
thinking about yourself.
I was being very selfish at the time.
You what?
I was very selfish at the time, yeah. I was
At the
20 years
time?
old.
Yeah, okay, now, and here's the thing. You confided in her
Absolutely.
things about Brian.
Oh, not
Just
only-
sister to sister.
She was my confidant at the time. I was recovering from back surgery and depended on her to help me watch my children, and I depended on her as my sister to help me with my children. I was recovering from back surgery, and I'm telling her how I feel like I can't do things sexually with him because of my back. And, I'm like really concerned about a lot of things. And she takes that information and goes through whatever door you chose to go through to go ahead and take advantage of that situation.
So she uses you as a confidant, then you use that information.
I did not use that information to do anything. There was no manipulation on my part. I didn't have to manipulate him. I didn't take advantage of him when he was drunk.
Doesn't matter.
There was
The
none
thing
of
is,
that.
as a sister, my dear,
My
I
fault
trusted
was
you.
not saying no, not turning him down. That's where I went wrong.
Then how did it happen for a year? I mean, I can't understand how you could think that it's like I asked you, why didn't you tell me the first time when it happened? You're like, oh, I didn't want to ruin my relationship. So let's sleep with him for a year and let's make that better. I mean, seriously, how can you even think that you should know me? The respect would have came to you if you would have just told me the truth. But you weren't even the one who told me. In fact, you have never admitted to me that you've done anything wrong.
That's not true,
once.
Angel.
Really?
That's
Because
not
even your
true.
fake apology did not even have admission of guilt. It didn't have repentance, and I'm
That's
sorry.
not
Those
true.
are the
Did you
two
even read the
requirements
text
of
messages?
forgiveness, my dear.
Did you even read the text
I
messages?
did. I
did admit my guilt. I said I was truly sorry.
Oh,
I
no,
did
no,
a
no, no.
horrible
you
thing.
You said, I'm deeply sorry for any pain that I have caused you. You are my sister, and I'd like to fix this. That's what you said after 7 years.
I've apologized to you
excuse
several
me.
times.
No, you have not.
Every time we get on the phone, Angel, this is how it happens.
Nope,
Just
nope,
on Monday,
nope,
that's
nope.
exactly what happened.
That's not
and
true.
then you had
That
you
is not
even
true.
asked me saying,
In fact, on Monday,
why can't we just talk to
you
each other?
had your
This is why.
opportunity- Excuse me. On Monday, when I called you, you had your opportunity to apologize then. In fact, did you even shed a tear when I called you? Excuse me. In fact, I believe that
When is an apology supposed to come through when you're just doing this all the time?
No,
You can't, I
you're
can't
not
get in.
listening is the problem.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You're just not listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Y'all don't really need me for this, do you?
No. I'm trying to
I mean, do I have to
speak-
be here for this?
No, I honestly, why do I have to be here for this when honestly there's nothing that's going to change her mind about anything? She's not listening to anything I say. It's just really quick.
Where'd that come from?
It came from my bra. It's actually from the Bible. It's Proverbs 2:16, and I just like to
You have
just
the
express
Bible
it real
in your
quick.
bra?
I do.
And later,
You brought me onto this show because you want to cry about how I won't forgive you.
That's
you
not
don't even know what
true.
forgiveness
That's not
is.
why we're here.
You don't
why
know
are
what
we here?
forgiveness is. Due to the pain that my sister has caused me, I have a hard time saying her name. I call her BF, which doesn't stand for best friend. It stands for bitch face. Basically, I've been using the letters BF to stand for her all this time because I choke. I choke on the words as they come out. So BF is just much easier to say.
I have just a couple of questions. You said that she's upset and that this is tearing the family apart and all of that. What do you expect her to feel?
I expected her to feel like this, but to drag it on this long...
What do you...
I'm sorry, and the call
When does it end? How many times do I have to apologize? When is it like, when can we make a truce? When can we stop all the hatred and the anger? It has trickled down so far. I mean, the kids are being affected. I mean,
really?
not only
What
your
did you
children, but my
expect
children
to do
too.
when you had children with the father of my children?
They don't have a problem with that,
You
Angel.
made and married him. You made the children, my children, their father, their own uncle. Now you tell me how that's not supposed to affect the children.
That's not how we raise them, Angel.
I don't
That's
care.
There's no confusion.
I don't care.
I know you don't.
Bottom line, no. Bottom line is you don't care. Okay?
If
Now
I
let me
didn't care,
tell
I
you
wouldn't be
something.
here.
Can I just express something real quick? Dr. Phill, can I please just express something really quick?
My second question. You said you didn't expect this to go anywhere. You were having unprotected sex.
I was
Right
on birth
here.
control the whole time, except for the very end when I did get pregnant. I missed my appointment. I didn't realize I missed it until after I was really sick and went to the doctors.
You were having unprotected sex. And your response is, oh, I was on birth control right up until, well,
When I got pregnant.
the end when I wasn't and got
Get
pregnant.
pregnant. I didn't get pregnant on purpose.
Oh,
We weren't
really?
trying to have. We weren't trying to have a baby. I was on birth control
he
the whole
wasn't.
time.
I bet you were.
You weren't on birth control the whole time. You got pregnant off of birth control, correct?
I missed my appointment. Yes, I did.
So stop saying you were on birth
wasn't
control
an
the whole
on-purpose
time except for the
thing.
time when you got pregnant.
Okay, it was an accident. I accidentally got pregnant.
You don't accidentally not be on birth control. How old were you?
20.
You were 20 years old. That's an adult. You are an adult. You knew you weren't on birth control and you had sex with her 7-year boyfriend,
That she
baby
knew.
daddy,
Yeah.
and you had unprotected sex. Now, come on. What you want to do is get past this. To get past this, you've got to get real.
Thank you.
Okay. I never purposely got. We weren't planning to have a baby. We weren't planning all of this stuff. It just happened.
When are you going to admit
Yes, it
that
continued
you
for
screwed
a
up?
year.
When are
Yes,
you going
I was-
to admit that you're wrong?
I have. Did you not
When?
hear me?
When?
I just said.
What?
Angel,
No, I'm sorry, when?
Angel, I did screw up. I made a huge mistake.
Wow,
I
that's
apologize.
the first time that I've heard that from your mouth.
Maybe because it's the first time you're not talking while I'm saying
Oh,
it.
really?
Yes.
Because I called you and I said, hey, do you really want to do this? Pause. Here's your opportunity to speak. And you didn't take it.
You weren't listening to anything I said. That entire
No,
conversation
I'm
was
sorry.
completely irrational.
Can I ask a third question?
Yes.
How are you self-righteous and sanctimonious in this thing? I don't...
I've been trying to apologize to her. I can't talk to her.
You say, you don't listen, you're not this, you're not that.
She
don't know.
She doesn't. When we're
kinda...
talking, she just screams and screams and screams and screams. She doesn't let you come in. She doesn't hear your apology. And as soon as I do apologize, it's, oh, you're fake.
Okay,
You're
you
fake.
said, why do I say you're being sanctimonious and self-righteous? That's why I say.
Thank
you're
you.
being...
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, my goodness. Thank
sorry.
you. If I can please say something.
If you will make it quick, and then we're going to break.
That's
and then,
fine.
then I'm going to come
That's
back and tell you what I think you need to do, and then we're done.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. My whole thing is just that, you know, I've given her opportunities, and the thing is that when you have the will and desire to do something, you should take it. And if you have the guilt and the feeling of remorse in your heart, I don't care what you have to do to express it, it shows. And I do have something that I'd like to read, if possible. It's just really quick.
Where'd that come from?
It came from my bra. It's actually from the Bible. It's Proverbs 2:16, and I'd just like to
You had
just
the
express
Bible
it real
in your
quick.
bra?
I do. Actually, I have it on my phone, too. Okay. because wisdom will save you from the adulterous woman, from the wayward woman with seductive words who has left the partner of her youth and ignored the covenant she made with God. Surely her house leads to death and her paths to the spirit of the dead. None who go to her return or attain the paths of life. Which basically, you know, with wisdom...
During the break, she will interpret that to her sister, apparently. What their mother has to say about all of this when we come back. Really?
Brian liked to call me a bitch no matter what I did. And then after they did what they did, I made being a bitch a lifestyle. And it was like, you want to see me be a bitch? Well, Dr. Frankenstein, how do you like the monster you created? Because I know how to be a bitch, believe me. My sister had the pleasure of marrying the love of my life.
My sister Angel will create situations where she and Brian are alone. Like when they do the child exchange, she demands that I'm not there. She'll say things to my family like, oh, he's flirting with me.
I don't think she loves him, not like I did. And I don't think he loves her, not like he loved me. He's really the only man I've ever loved.
Well, you're probably wondering where Brian is. The man caught in the middle of this love triangle. Well, he was going to be here until about 2 a.m. this morning, and he called in and said, oh, darn, I can't make it. Can't get there. I could be on the phone if you wanted me to call in or whatever. I said, no, I'll pass. So he does admit that falling in love with his girlfriend, Angel's sister, was not ideal, that it was Angel who encouraged Amber to move in with him.
Angel and I were together for about 4 years. We had a great time together in the beginning of our relationship. She just changed into a completely different person.
Brian and Angel never agreed on anything. They always argued. They didn't share the same view on a lot of things. Their dysfunction was pretty much the only thing they had in common. Their relationship was extremely toxic.
Angel blamed me for her back problems. Angel wanted to have another back surgery and wanted to move back with her mother. I was completely against moving back with her mother. Angel and I decided it would be better for me to get my own apartment. I was taking as her walking out on our relationship. Angel sent her sister, Amber, to stay with me as a way to keep an eye on me.
Angel feels that I seduced Brian and that I had gotten pregnant on purpose to try to trap him. Brian seduced me. Brian and I married a year ago. We have 2 children together, and we are expecting our 3rd child. Brian and I are soulmates. We have a very close relationship.
I admit that I was wrong. I tried to apologize. I tried to make amends with Angel. Is there anything that I can do about it? No. Can it be changed? No.
Can I say something, please?
Do I have a choice?
I didn't encourage it.
It doesn't matter whether you did or
She helped
didn't.
him get the apartment. Her name was on the lease.
If you drove him over there and rolled him in on a dolly, it doesn't justify your sister crawling in bed with him.
You're right. And you know what? I love how they keep trying to turn this around like it's my fault.
I never said it was your fault, Angel.
Oh, my goodness. I
don't know where you're getting that
You brought
from.
me onto this show because you want to cry about how I won't forgive you.
That's
you
not
don't even know what
true.
forgiveness
That's not
is.
why we're here.
You don't
Why
know
are
what
we here?
forgiveness is.
We're here because of the way it's affecting the children.
Okay, let's talk to your mother.
Please.
Hi. Angela and Amber's mom, Sandra, is joining us on Polycom. You're in Hawaii, right?
Yes, on a honeymoon.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Sorry,
Thank you.
Sorry to intrude. Love the flower and the lei. So tell me, what do you think about this division between the sisters?
Well, you're right in the middle of it, just the same way as I am, only I'm mom.
Right.
I can see expression on your face already. The emotions, the passions. Now try to be mom.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So what happens on holidays when you all get around the Thanksgiving table? I mean, does the turkey fly or what?
Two holidays.
No.
No.
No, I won't go.
To keep it from being thrown at each other,
That's not.
we have 2 holidays.
So you have to split it up.
Usually.
Yes, 2 Christmases, 2 Thanksgiving.
Or half and half.
Oh, half and half. Well, half and half. That's what I mean by 2.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
half and half.
So,
Yeah,
Mom,
it's half.
so Mom, what do you want to see happen here?
Well, what happened to Angel is not right. And not just us being Christian women, and all of us having a past, the only way to go forward and then what God expects us to do is to love one another unconditionally, to forgive, and move forward. And you can't move forward if you're carrying a trunk of junk. Everybody deserves a second chance. But there has to be remorse.
Thank you.
I love my girls. I love them dearly.
Well, do
And
you
they
think
both-
Amber is remorseful?
Oh, I know she is. One thing about Amber is that she backs off from any aggression, and she puts up a wall, a false pretense. And it's hard to see that, but I've seen her cry. I can see Angel's not accepting that. I've seen her cry.
Why isn't
I
she
know
crying
how
now if she's so remorseful?
because she can really hold it in.
Then if this is the time to show it, though, she's supposed to show she's sorry. This is
get
supposed
that.
to
I
make
get that.
amends. And
But
there she
not
is with a straight
everybody.
face,
It
just like
just-
when I talked to her on Monday.
Okay, hold on. Listen,
I'm
I feel
sorry,
really
I'm
bad
sorry,
about
I'm just gonna be
intruding on.
quiet.
I feel really bad about intruding on your honeymoon because these girls are doing what they're doing. But at this point, your concern is that this is tearing the family up. There are children involved. In fact, your children do have to spend time with their father/uncle or stepfather, whatever.
Stepmom/Thea.
So they do get kind of, and you want to see that resolved for those children, correct?
I do, because I'm starting to see now that they're getting older, the anger and the way that they treat each other is really affecting the children, and I can see it. And I know it's hard to move forward for Angel and for anybody. I mean, I have a sister, and I can't imagine what I would be feeling. I'd be feeling probably a lot like Angel has, but I've had a lot of things happen to me myself, and I can tell you, you've got to let it go. You've got to forgive. You've got to believe that God's love, that He has a better purpose for us.
Mom, why can't you recognize how far I've come? I'm the one that's worked all this. I have done all the work. I have forgiven her. In fact, I told her I loved her on Monday. Did you return it?
Yeah, right before you said that you were willing for me to lose my baby so you could fight me.
Oh my
and then
gosh,
you could
no,
forgive me.
No, that's not true. What I said.
I had you on speakerphone.
Yes, what I said.
I'll give you my thoughts after the break.
So I'm just gonna be quiet while Dr. Phill go ahead and makes his statement.
Okay.
I miss my sister very much. I do want a truce. I can understand if she doesn't want to forgive me.
She's heartless. And it hurts because that's my baby sister. And I told her, I love you. So I love you. You're my sister. I love you. Do you think she took the opportunity to return it? She didn't tell me she loved me back. As a matter of fact, all she could do was argue with me.
I'm here with Angel and Amber. We interrupted Mom's honeymoon, and I don't want to do that anymore. But let me just tell you what I think about. Do you want to know what I think about this?
I do. I'm listening. I am just hurt again by my family not recognizing my work as a Christian mom to forgive her and love her despite what she's done. You just totally took that away from me in your statement. So I'm just gonna be quiet while Dr. Phill go ahead and makes his statement.
Okay. All I can do is tell y'all what I think, and then you're going to do whatever you want with it. Now, it's been 7 years.
Yes, sir.
And you have a higher calling here and a duty to the children involved in this situation.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And sometimes people that really have a lot of angst for one another have to co-parent.
Absolutely.
And in this situation, you're having to co-parent with the father of your children and your sister to whom he is now married.
Yes, sir.
Now, you have shared things with us that relationship was perhaps anything but perfect.
Absolutely.
And I frankly think that it sounds like you may have really dodged a bullet here.
Honestly, I believe that God used this to cut him out of my life like the cancer he was. I do believe
maybe,
that.
and I'm not saying that means he's an evil guy, but the two of you
we're not meant to be.
Had a volatile relationship, and there was a lot going on there that didn't need to go on.
Yes, sir.
But be that as it may, that's over and you're out.
You're right.
But you made the choice to bring 2 children into this world with that man.
I did.
And when you brought those children into this world, you became a parent.
Absolutely.
The problem is parent is both a noun and a verb.
Yes, sir.
You aren't just a parent, you must parent. And that means there are things you have to do as a fiduciary for those children. And bad-mouthing their daddy, I'm not saying you do, just hear me out.
I'm listening.
I'm not saying you do. Bad-mouthing their daddy, putting them in the middle of a tug-of-war here where there's angst between you and you, and they feel that, they perceive that.
Yes, sir.
They pick up the tab for that.
Absolutely.
And if you're saying that you have forgiven her, doesn't mean that what she did was okay. Forgiveness is about you, not about her.
And it's not reconciliation either.
Then you don't have to reconcile.
Exactly.
You just have to co-parent.
Exactly.
And that means that you do whatever you have to do to keep those children from being in the crossfire of a battle between you and your sister.
Thank you.
Take the high road. There's a lot less traffic up there.
I've been trying to do that, but she's totally trying to bring me down to her road.
But it isn't up to her. Listen, you just need to choose to do what you need to do. If she chooses to not do it, you can't handle that. But you need to do what you need to do. You're obviously emotionally charged about this, and I'm saying that at some point, it's been 7 years, it isn't going to change.
No,
let it
you're
go.
right. The thing is,
let it go.
Can I ask you a question, Dr. Phill?
Very briefly.
Why would I want to spend time with somebody who has no remorse for what they've done? All I do is just try to keep my space. I've done exactly what you've done, but I'm not getting credit for it.
If she earns your trust and respect by creating a new history, then reconsider it. But if at this point you feel that she hasn't, then leave it alone.
You said earn, Dr. Phill.
Move on.
That's such a huge word, earn.
My next guest looks pretty good in her selfies, but her self-esteem is in the toilet because she always thinks her best friend looks better. We'll talk to both of them when we come back. So, doesn't that mean that your life going forward is really bleak? Because you're gonna look worse. On the outside, my next guest, Jen, looks confident and beautiful. But deep beneath the layers of makeup and hairspray, she is in a constant struggle, comparing herself to every other woman in the room, especially her own best friend, Megan.
Megan is so beautiful that being around her is hard on me. I'm jealous. I feel like she's just way prettier. She just has such confidence about herself that I envy.
When we as women look in the mirror and we see something wrong with ourselves, what's the first thing we do? What can I do to fix that?
Just me, raw, bare, no hair done, no makeup. I don't think I'm pretty. I feel like I'm losing a battle. I'm afraid of people not loving me, or that someday there's gonna be that cuter girl that is gonna be more attractive than me.
She's her worst critic. I look at it as more of a competition, and I just go to my extremes and I'll see what I can do.
I want the real me to look better. I don't want to fix myself.
Okay, are you just the way you look?
You mean without all this makeup and hair? I don't look the same?
Yeah. Why is it so important to the two of you how you look?
Because it makes me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
It gives us confidence.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not as worthy or respectable enough if I don't carry myself well.
And you think your appearance, your look equals self-worth? Be honest. I mean, that's what you say. You
From
come in the room
outside,
and that's how
yes.
you measure your worth and value.
Yes, I feel like I'm worth more. I feel like I'm better. I feel like I carry myself better.
Yeah.
I've been on the other side, and I don't feel as good as myself. It's like not many people care to get to know you.
So doesn't that mean that your life going forward is really bleak? Because you're gonna look worse. Going forward, take it from me. I look like an old catcher's mitt, okay? As you get older, things are gonna get closer to the sidewalk, and wrinkles are gonna become more pronounced, and you're going to become less competitive. Visually, there's always gonna be somebody cuter, younger, fresher. There already is. Trust me.
I know. And that's why I try to do what I can, because I just like you said, I feel like there's always someone out there better, prettier, and I feel like it just gives me more boost to try to continue to work harder.
Yeah, but you lost 70 pounds, right?
I did.
All right, good job on that.
Thank you.
For a couple of reasons. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One, because you feel better about yourself, number one.
Absolutely.
But number two, that's a return to health.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Oh,
I guarantee
absolutely.
you your lab work went from out here to center and up.
And I was off the couch a lot more, too.
Heart-wise, and you became more active and all of that.
Yeah.
And you were involved with somebody that dumped you for...
Someone younger.
In his mind, somebody that was younger, cuter, fresher.
Right.
And that person can be dumped for somebody younger, cuter, and just like a guy can be dumped for somebody that is more studly. And look, you can never win that foot race. Which one of you said you take the perfect selfie?
That's me.
Yeah, that'd be Jen.
You don't let other people take a picture.
No.
You'll take it, right?
Yes.
How do you take the perfect selfie?
Well, you kind of have to angle it like this. Like, it has to be up. And then you have to have, like, the right background and the right lights.
Yeah.
And you have to have, like, the right face expression.
Oh, you're in the right town for all this.
Yeah.
Your self-image is damaged because you're not focusing on the right things.
I think it's more of a control thing, too. Like, I feel like the better I do, the more that I am, the more control I have with myself.
If your body image and self-image are tied together, you're making a serious, serious mistake. And I say that based on work with people that have been injured and become paraplegic and quadriplegics. They have taught me that although it should not be, that self-image and body image oftentimes travel connected together. That if your body image deteriorates, your self-image tends to go with it.
Yeah.
And particularly with men, actually. I mean, men that can no longer stand up and feel strong and masculine, that first shock for them is terrible. It's a terrible shock because their body image has been damaged, and so their self-image just goes in the tank. And they're not less of a man, they just feel that way in the beginning. And if your self-image and your self-worth is tied to your perception of your body image, you're in for a rough ride going forward. You've got to expand it beyond that. I mean, what's your best quality? Are you smart?
Yeah.
Are you caring?
Very.
I mean, is she a good friend?
The best.
I mean, is she loving and caring and supportive?
Absolutely. She's the most genuine person I've ever known.
Those are the things you've got to focus on. I mean, those are the things you should value about yourself. Those are, I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with taking pride in your appearance, but if that's how you're defining your self-worth, if that's how you're defining your self-image, then those things don't age. I mean, your true qualities of being caring and giving and contributing something and being loyal and supportive to your friends, those are the things those things don't age. The outer wrapper does age, and you can fight this battle, and you can run, and you're just going to die tired because it's going to catch up with you. I mean, you are going to age. You can do things to help and take care of yourself, and it's interesting, you each say the other is prettier.
Yeah.
So that means your self-image is damaged because you're not focusing on the right things, true?
True. It's something I've been battling with since high school. I mean, and I think it's more of a control thing too. Like, I feel like the better I do, the more that I am, the more control I have with myself.
Yeah, but you've got to focus on different things. We'll be right back. Beauty is a very individual thing. I mean, you can be at where you think you're absolute best, and somebody might look right past you and look at somebody that you think, well, you know, she ain't much, but somebody else might think so. It's all in the eye of the beholder, as they say. What you got to do is really find what it is you think is so unique and special about who you are. And I mean, I was joking about being in the right town. I mean, look at the people that are successful in Hollywood. They're not always the best looking people, right? They're different. They're different. They're unique people that become movie stars. Find something about you that's unique. Find something about your personality that pops. Find something about you, and those things don't age. True?
Right.
I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're focusing on the wrong stuff. All right, we're out of time. I want to thank my guests for being here today. For more information on today's show, you can visit drphill.com. We'll see you next time.